I'm trying to do the map function and find something, you know.
Yeah.
And I've actually put a couple contacts in, like I said, for a collab, but when somebody goes to look for something and I don't know, I can't get it to pull up. I don't have an address, you know, they're saying I want a 3-bedroom and I want it to be within 20 miles of here, and doing the map with the, you know, the octagon or whatever it might be, and
Sure.
trying to make all that work, you know.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'll start with a basic overview. As you can see, we have our quick search over here on the left side of the screen. You've probably used this a bunch. It is very handy if you know what you're looking for. Obviously, it's not a good place to start a residential property search or a land search for that matter.
Right.
You know, pretty easy resource to figure out. It's funny that they still contain area in our search because it doesn't turn anything up anymore. Area is kind of that I got used to using the areas and sub areas, but no more. And it makes sense. You'll also notice on the right-hand side of the screen that you have a couple of quick bits of market data that you could have here for yourself and others. But also, more importantly, you can check on your clients and who is engaging with their searches, with their Client Connect sites. You can see who is actually favoriting homes, who's visiting their site. I can see my client Vic has checked his site 8 times in the last 7 days. And so it shows that these clients here are all very engaged with their searches. It also could tell you, if you know that you have a bunch of other searches, that you know who may or may not be checking into their search, or you may know whose searches are not actually creating listings for them to go look at. It's a tough time. Well, it's an easy time to sell a listing. It's a tough time to find them. Okay. Another thing I'd like to point out here is our contacts. All across the top, we have our homepage, search page, listings, CMA contacts. Under your contacts, this is where you are going to be able to manage all the contacts in your MLS database. It's not the same as your command database. But from here, you can see who is engaging with their search, when the last time that they were notified, when the last time they accessed. You'll notice here that for this client, Jolly, the last time she accessed her search was yesterday. So she took a look. Sorry, the last time she was notified was yesterday. The last time she actually looked at her search was back in June. Okay, so that was quite some time ago. Okay. For my client, Hannah, she actually accessed her search 2 days ago, and she was just notified yesterday. This is a quick way to also see how many homes your clients have favorited, how many homes they've left undecided. And of course, you can view your client sites here by clicking the view, right? Very handy. Okay. Oh, Alexa Style just entered. Okay. Make sure she's hopped on here. Okay. Now, the most powerful thing that we can do in the MLS is actually make use of a search. Oh no, there's that coming by.
Wow.
Alexis, you may want to put on headphones if you can, but I would certainly love to hear you if I can. If you have any questions. All right. We're just doing a brief overview of the MLS. So here's the deal. You don't need to hear me go on and on, drone on and on. The important things that we're going to need to do today is I'm going to teach you how to properly utilize your search, save a search, set up a Client Connect site, and then I'm also going to show you some tips and tricks on how to perform a CMA. All right. So up here in the search applet, we're going to click on search, and notice that it gives you a couple of different options here. We have residential search, multifamily search. Those would be, oh, let's see here, admit. All right. We have residential search, multifamily search, land search, commercial improved or unimproved, which of course would only be for commercial agents. And then you also have residential rentals. Word of advice, there are residential rentals listed in our MLS, but they're not particularly accurate. I wouldn't say that the MLS is the #1 way that people are putting their rentals online. Okay. If you ever need to access previously saved searches, you can find them here where it says saved property searches, and those can be connected to your buyers or your clients, I should say. All right, so let's go ahead and start a search. I'm going to choose residential. And notice here we have a couple of defaults. We have default statuses for active and contingent. I need to go ahead and get rid of the contingent because we don't want to show homes that are already on contract. So I'm going to choose the coming soon status. Jack, give me a price range for a client.
350,000.
350,000. Okay. And somebody who's looking at 350,000 is probably not buying 150,000, right?
Right.
So we'll go ahead and set the low at 200,000 there. Okay. Under property types could be detached, which are single family homes, attached, which are townhomes. And if you ever want to know what the potential search terms you can use are, make sure to click on the magnifying glass next to the search bar, and it shows you some of the other options that you can include or exclude. For instance, we could include condos, or we could include manufactured homes. Jack, do you know of a way for us to exclude a manufactured home? There's two methods that I can think of.
Well, if you don't click on it, it doesn't show it, correct?
Correct. That is one way. We could also, if we had three that we wanted, but we wanted to exclude manufactured homes, over here on the right-hand side of the screen where it says equals, we could choose not equal to, and then choose manufactured homes. And in that case, it would choose the other three types.
Okay.
Right. So I could say we don't want to look for manufactured homes, condos, or townhomes. It's kind of a complicated way to look for things, right? But it is certainly possible, because sometimes there are cases where your clients may want to rule something out. For instance, let's say you have a client that is okay with schools, but for whatever reason does not want to be in an area where that is assigned to Leesville High. So let's go down to high school, and where it says equals to, I'm going to choose not equal to, and then I'll choose Leesville. And in that case, it will only show me properties that are not districted for Leesville. So that's one instance where equals to or not equals to could be particularly helpful.
Okay.
A lot of people may want to say, oh, well, let me look at Raleigh, or, but let me show you what happens on a map when you just type Raleigh and available homes. There are a lot of homes there that aren't in Raleigh. They're a Raleigh mailing address, but this one up here is up near Forestville and Wake Forest.
Right.
You've got homes all the way down south here. Look at this. This is a home south of Willow Springs, or east of Willow Springs, I should say, as far down as Fuquay Varina. That's a Raleigh address. It's south of Garner.
Wow.
Raleigh address. So when your clients say, I want to look in Raleigh, we need to be a little more specific. So consider this a cautionary tale. Okay. Another way that you could do that is that you could say, well, let's just look at homes in Wake County. You can certainly do that. Let's go back and look at our map. Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Wake County is an enormous area. And one of these up here, I'm pretty positive, is not in Wake County, but who knows? It's right up near the border. It's got to be close. All right, I'm going to go back to my search. So I say all this to say you can use city, county. You can even use zip codes like 27609, right? There's only 9 homes in 27609 that are under $350,000. Okay. There they are. But probably the best method to look for a specific area is to use the mapping tools. So that's what I'm focused on here. So when you're setting up your search, you can click on the map here, or you can choose this map search tab up at the top. So do you see that, Jack? You can click on this bar here that says mapping, and click on map search. Now notice from the criteria I've already posted in, we've got houses all over the place. And if you are an MLS agent, a Triangle MLS agent, and you are including homes down here, you are a butt. There's just no way around it. You have no business listing that in the Triangle MLS, in my opinion. I mean, you've even got homes over in Winston-Salem and Greensboro. Good luck with that. All right, so in my map search, let's talk about an area. Areas are important. Let's say your client says, I want to buy in North Raleigh under $350,000, right? So here's Raleigh Heart. Maybe they don't want to be inside the belt line, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to choose our draw tool, and there's a couple different options. We can choose a radius, which just draws, let's say I go to the heart of Raleigh and I draw out a circle and it selects these homes. The problem with that is that we've included South Raleigh and we've included only part of North Raleigh. So to delete that shape, we're going to choose Edit and click the X, and that will clear that out. I'm a big fan of the polygon search. So where it says draw, you choose polygon. And now we are going to click the areas of Raleigh that we want to include. So if they've said kind of North Raleigh area, I can draw what I consider the North Raleigh area. And since I've already punched in some criteria, it showed me where some homes are. Okay. Any questions about this thus far? All right. So now that I've picked out an area and we have a bunch of homes to choose from, I'm going to go back to my criteria and we're going to narrow this down, right? 51 homes is a lot to send to my clients. So let's go back to property type. We're going to choose detached, and notice that dropped it from 51 to 15. That was an enormous drop. Okay. Another thing that you can do to clarify what type of home is on a property, if you want to rule out manufactured or modular homes, is under construction type, you can say site built. And site built means that the home was built on that lot rather than constructed in a factory somewhere. It means it was built on that lot. All right, I'm going to check and make sure we don't have any questions in the chat. Perfect. Acreage is a fine way to search for a particular property, but I would caution you in a search in this market to be too specific in your search, because if you're too specific, you're not going to generate any properties for your clients to consider. For instance, if my clients say they want a minimum of 0.25 acres, and I say, okay, I'm going to put in minimum of 0.25 acres, right? There may be a house that's 0.24 that would suit their needs that would be left out, right? So I would caution you that whatever your clients say they must have, like for instance, if they say, you know what, I've got to have 1,800 square feet, right? I would say set a minimum of like 1,600 or 1,700. So let's go to the square feet. Let's say they need 1,800. I'm going to say 1,600 here, because if there's something that's like 1,759 is going to be close. It's going to be close to what they want. And it may be something that we would not unnecessarily want to rule out. Okay. You can also add fields if there's a field that is missing. For instance, if we click the Customize button and choose Fields, there are fields that we can add, like list agent or listing type, right? Co-listing. So let's see here. You can choose to search for active adult community. You can choose to search for the city limits of, right? Which, yeah, it doesn't, these will only be as good as the information that agents are actually putting into the MLS, right? I cannot tell you how many times I've had agents not include information saying that a master bedroom is on the first floor, right? It's a question in the MLS. It's a question you can answer. But if you have an agent who doesn't answer it, and then you're searching for it specifically, you may have a home that has a first floor master that's not showing up in the search because the agent didn't put the information in correctly. And it's not just bad agents, it's bad entities. When we come across somebody like Zillow or Open Door, I don't know if y'all have paid much attention, or Jack, if you've come across this in the MLS, but these big companies hardly take any time to fill out their MLS accurately.
Right.
I saw an agent the other day claiming all of their square footage as being above grade when it had a daylight basement. It had a complete daylight basement.
Wow.
Right. And you can't do that. You cannot claim subterranean ground as above grade. And it's because they did not know what they were doing. All right. So I think you have the general idea of some of the things that you can use here to search for. I would caution you against utilizing features. I will point it out. Let's go ahead and talk about it. On the features tab, which is about 2/3 of the way down the page, you'll notice that it has must have, must not have, and must have one or more, as in setting a minimum. So for instance, if I put in a feature of must have a fireplace, right? There's a couple different options you can choose, right? Or must have a pool. One or more pools is hilarious. The idea of a house having multiple pools, while not out of the realm of possibilities. I've been in multi-million-dollar homes that don't have 2 pools, right? But we could say, a house must have a pool, right? So look, of the homes we were looking at, 4 of these homes have pools. That's pretty cool. If I say must not have a pool, okay, obviously we have 11. But when you say that it must have certain features, keep in mind that it's only going to be as good, your search is only going to be as accurate as the accuracy of the information that's put in the MLS. And let that be a reminder to you as well as the list agent to be as detailed and specific as you can be when you put something into the MLS. I have a lot of agents who will say, well, Robert, this house has Corian countertops, and I don't want to advertise that it has Corian countertops. That might hurt me. Well, potentially, but the house still has Corian countertops. And so it's better for you to say it and have accurate information because there may be somebody who actually prefers that product. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. All right, you can look for listing agent. For instance, if you wanted to look for my name, I don't have any in this part of town, but you could pop in my name. There I am. And notice, yeah, none of those 15 homes are mine, but we'll get into more of that later. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and click search, and this will take us into our search. And I want to point out a couple different tools. You can sort your stack by status, by MLS number, or by address by simply clicking on them. You could also sort by subdivision if you have homes that are in the same subdivision. It doesn't look like there's any crossover there. You can sort by year built. If your client wants to look at newer things first, you could see those. And importantly, you can sort by list price. Notice we have homes from 250 to 350 in this part of town. Okay. And they're all about the same size for the most part. Okay. To look at a home, to look at your properties, you'll click on the MLS number and it will expand out the agent page. Okay, but I'm going to go back to my MLS default grid. There's a couple different views that you can have here. Notice I've already favorited these, but the rest of them would be available under the details or the CMA. Some of my favorite views would be the Google Map feature, which will show you where these properties are on a map, kind of important. When you're in the Google Map, you can turn on additional layers. For instance, you see this little icon here. If you click on this icon, it gives you a couple different layers that you can add to your map. So for instance, if you want to look at the floodplain, okay.
Where did you get into the favorites thing, Robert? I missed that. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. Let me exit out of this. Up here in the top right corner where it says reports.
Yep.
If you click on reports, you have favorites here. And you can favorite something by clicking the star next to it. So if you scroll down, like for instance, if I want to set TMLS photo 2 page and I click that star, it then adds that up here to my favorites. Okay.
So you did Google Map, what you're showing now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which I believe Google Maps was under specialty views, perhaps.
Yep.
Just like how under CMA, you may want to choose CMA Summary as a favorite view. So for instance, when I choose CMA Summary, it creates a CMA spreadsheet of all these properties. It shows me their MLS number. It shows me the property description, the address. It tells me the year built, square footage, and then it also tells me the days on market. Now a CMA is way more important. A CMA is way more important when you're doing a listing, right? A CMA for a listing. But we should still be doing quick CMAs for homes that our clients are going to be buying, particularly with appraisal being more important now. Appraisals being more important now than ever before. Okay, I'm going to go back to my default grid. Now, let's say of these homes, I'm going to pick out a few for my client. These little boxes next to the homes can be selected here. Or when you're looking at a home, if you see something that you like, as you flip through them, you can check this box here in the top right corner and it will select it. Right? So if you're sorting through properties and you're like, all right, I like this one, don't like this one, or, oh, I actually like this one, that looks pretty good. When you choose the checked box up in the top left-hand corner, it will then reduce the amount of available properties to just the ones that you've checked. That's a very, very, very handy tool. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next, let's go ahead and save this search for our client. We have a couple different ways we can do this. If we click save and we click save search, Notice it says you can give it a name and it'll be saved to yourself. But in this case, more often than not, when we're saving a search, we're doing so that we can send it to a client. Okay, so choose the Contact tab, name your search. In my case, I will call it, MLS Test Search, 1. And in the event that I needed to add a new contact, we'll put the name in here. Let's say I'm saving this for Scott Taylor. So we'll do Scott, we'll do Taylor, and then we'll do a made up email, 123staylor@hotmail.com. Okay. All right, click save. And now it gives you an option that we can save and notify our client of this search. To do that, we'll click the Save and Notify button, which will take us into a new dialog. And let me show you some of the best practices here. So first of all, let's go ahead and check our settings. Notice we have 2 options, email or Collab Center. And the difference between these is the email will simply send an email when a new property pops up in this search, just a blanket email. The Collaboration Center creates a website for our client to log into and engage with to sort and favorite homes. It also gives more information than just the email. I like to click the Settings tab and change a couple things on here. I turn off agent notifications and instead blind carbon copy myself to the emails that my clients receive. I also change the message, the subject line of the email, so that I know whose search I'm being notified of, right? So for instance, I would call this Taylor Home Search North Raleigh, okay? And then click OK. Next, you would want to send your welcome message to your client. And this is very simple. Name the subject something that you'll remember, but welcome to your, home search website from Robert Joins, and then you type in your message, whatever that is, for your client, XOXO, right? And then you would send that to your client. Okay. In the event that you ever need to get back to this, right? Let's go to our Contacts tab, View and Manage Contacts. And under your contacts, you would simply look for the client in question, which in this case is Scott Taylor. I would click on his name. And under Buyer Activity, you can find the search that we made. I can do that again if I need to, Jack.
Do it one more time for me.
You got it, buddy. All right, I go up here and click Contacts,
Yep.
View, Manage Contacts.
Okay.
I'm going to search for Scott.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'll click on his name.
Okay.
And under Buyer Activity, there is our search. Now, let's say I just want to go adjust the search. I don't need to go to his contact. I just need to go adjust the search. Let's go to where it says Search at the top. And now we're going to navigate over to where it says Saved Property Searches. Here, I'll type Taylor, since I know that's the name of the search. Oh, no, it's test. It's MLS Test Search. I didn't name it after Scott. There it is, MLS Test Search 1. And when you click on it there, it will now take you into this dialog for your search to make any adjustments that you need to. It has my saved information here, and I can alter the information. Let's say Scott says, hey, Robert, I can actually afford $500,000, right? So I would update that, maybe change the base price, and save the search. And it's happened before. I've had clients say, you know what, I'm frustrated. I'm willing to spend more, up the amount. And you go back and you just change the search and it brings up more homes. Or he could say, you know what, I really don't want a house with a garage. I don't know why. So I would set the maximum of a garage to 0. And that'll rule out some homes. It would then only show me homes that don't have a garage. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our run search here. We got a lot of homes here to choose from. Okay. And let's say we want to email a couple different pieces of information here. Let's say instead of setting up a search, we're just going to email a couple of homes. So I'm going to choose 7, 8, 9. I'm going to pick checked. So it reduces it just to these 3. And now I can choose to email these forms. Okay, so I'm going to click email, and notice it now gives me an option of the different kinds of reports I can include in this email. It's also important to note on the left-hand side, notice where it says select listings. If you've selected homes, it will automatically pick all 3. But if you haven't, it may only pick the home that you're looking at, which would be a problem. Because if you're trying to send somebody a list of 10 and you only send them 1, that's a giant annoying pain in the tuchus, right? I've definitely done it before. So always make sure that you have the listings you want to send selected. Okay. Let's say I want to include a CMA summary of these 3 homes so that my client gets a better idea of price per square foot for these homes that are listed. I click on CMA summary and then choose add. Okay. I can also choose, let's see here, there may be some other information that I want to include in here. You know,
Did you
notice,
choose which email type? I'm sorry, was it collab that we chose for email type or not?
what for saved searches?
No, where you're at here in the email report. The top left, right above the select the listings.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I choose hyperlink.
Okay, cool. That's what I'll make sure.
Yeah, that just gives them a link that they can click on and it'll take them to these properties. There's a couple different ways that you could send this. Notice that the MLS sheet that I'm sending is the TMLS agent full. I could remove the agent full and send them a buyer version, right? Buyer full, no agent ad, right? I would say get in the habit of going ahead and sending the agent full because it's going to disclose information that they're going to need to have anyways, in my opinion. Okay. All right. Once I've selected the reports I want to send, I'm going to choose compose email. I'm going to type in the client that I want to send it to, which will be myself. We'll call this, quick search homes. And then, type your message and send. Okay. Easy, easy, easy peasy. You can also choose to print things. So like, let's say you have a bunch of MLS sheets that you're trying to print at home. If you click print and choose print plus allows you to print more than one kind of report. So for instance, right here, the MLS default grid is nothing I want to print. That's just what this picture is. So I can remove that. But I may want to print the agent full 2-page, and I may want to go ahead and print a buyer full for my buyers. And maybe even a copy of the CMA summary, right? So if I do this and click print, it's going to print all of these pages for me in one go, rather than having to keep select and print, select and print, select and print. And that's very handy. So I'll show that one more time. To do what I just did there, you'll choose print plus, and that'll allow you to choose which reports you'd like to print. Okay. Let's go take a look at a Client Connect site just so you can see what it looks like. So I'm back on my home page, and I'm going to choose View Site under my client, Hannah Wilson. And you'll notice that it shows new homes for my client to sort.
Go right where you were, Robert. I missed where you got to there. Sorry.
Not a problem. I'm on the home page of Paragon.
Yep.
And I have a quick search area for my clients over here to the right. And where it says View Site allows me to go to their Client Connect site.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Just so that you can see what a Client Connect site looks like.
Okay.
Notice that my client can favorite homes, the ones that they like the look of. And if you click on any of these homes, it has all the other information. So when you send a Client Connect site, this is what it looks like. And it's important to know that if they have any questions. Because your client can even, request a showing through here. Now, basically all that says is here's the date and time that I would prefer, but you know as well as I do that that date and time may not be available.
Right.
But it's very, very handy. It's a great, great resource. And I got to tell you, I am shocked at how poor some of the photography is for some of these multi-million-dollar homes. This one's got great photography, but it's astounding how bad some of them are. Because you think if you've got $1 million listing, like these look good. But that last one we were looking at, which one? This one? Yeah, this one. This is cut rate. These pictures are terrible. I mean, this is a $1.48 million home. And it looks like it was shot on somebody's phone. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Okay, questions thus far. We've been going about 35 minutes or so.
Nope, so far I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's work on a CMA. So let me close out some of these here. There's a couple ways that you can do them. There is a CMA tool built into the MLS, but I'm more of a fan of doing a CMA otherwise. Okay. So let's go to our search and choose residential search. And we need a subject property. Okay. So let me think where it would be a good subject property. Hold on a second. Oh, what's the number? Okay, yeah, there we go. Cool. All right, that'll be good. All right. All right, you should be able to see my screen again. All right, subject property 7704 Hilburn. Pulled this up in the quick search so we could take a look at it. This was a listing of mine. And this home is in Breckenridge subdivision. Okay, so if I'm doing a CMA, the very first place I want to start is the subdivision. Right, so I'll pull up Breckenridge and I'll also choose closed, contingent, and pending for the last 6 months. And you'll notice there's 29 homes. Now, there's a couple things we need to go confirm. So let me go ahead and click on my map search. Because sometimes you'll have homes that say the right subdivision, but they're all over the place. So for instance, this says these 5 homes here are saying Breckenridge, and these 21 homes here are saying Breckenridge. But my property, the property I'm looking for, I know is in North Raleigh. Right? There's 3 here. So I need to narrow this down a little bit more. So I'm going to draw a polygon around these 3 homes. It really doesn't matter the size because I just need to capture these 3. Okay. And 3 homes is a great number to work with if you're working for, a CMA. Like you're trying to get your homes down to between 3 and 5 that you're comparing to. Now, notice in this case, these 3 homes, 1987, 1987, 1988, 2 or 4 bedrooms, 1 is a 3-bedroom. Let's go back at our subject property. Our subject property is a 421, 1,800 square feet built in 1987. So here we can say that the 2 4-bedrooms are good comps. This one here that sold for significantly more is a bit larger by 400 square feet. Oh, well, obviously there's there's one here that's a little different. There you go. Take a look at this. Now look at that. Look at the price jump in these homes since this house closed. This house closed in February of this year. It closed for $348. Well, the last 2 homes in this neighborhood to sell, one closed in May for almost $100,000 more than what it was listed for.
Phew.
Yeah. Let's look at the next one. Same neighborhood. This one closed at the end of June for $87,000, $87,100 more than list price. Now, what you can't see in the pictures here is that my own property is one of the comparable properties in this search because it's already closed. But this house was on a ski slope lot, like bad driveway. Now, let's see if we can pull it up. And I can show you what it looks like from the street. Okay. There we go. Street view. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that driveway.
Wow. Yeah.
And those other homes don't have that problem. Those other homes are also more traditional 2-story homes, while this is more of a 1.5. It has a second story, but it doesn't have that same look. But that is absurd. Sales price from this time, in February, to now similar homes of similar size in the same neighborhood. That's just incredible. So just goes to show you the fervor. And this home doesn't even have a garage. Neither of these homes have a garage, whereas my subject property had one. So that kind of eliminates how difficult it can be to figure it out. All right, so let's go back to our search. We're going to try a different strategy here. Let's say we're looking in the Stonehenge subdivision. That's a bigger subdivision. There's a lot of Stonehenges to choose from. Okay. Date range, let's do closed homes 6 months back. And notice that pops up 36 homes. So let's narrow it down a little bit more. We'll say that it's a detached home that we're trying to match. We'll say that the total living area is 1,800 square feet minimum. That's 34. Bedrooms, we'll say it's a 4-bedroom down to 21. We know that it has 3 full baths. That brings it down to 10. And 10 is actually a pretty good place for us to go. But let's say the subject property also has a 2-car garage. And that hasn't narrowed it down enough. Let's see, we've got 10 now to choose from. Let's click search and see what we've got. Now look at this. These homes are all listed in quote unquote Stonehenge, right? But these 3 over here are on the other side of the road. I mean, they're on the other side of Creedmoor. So if my subject property is over here, these are not going to be good comps, right? So what I could do here is I could draw my polygon and just choose these homes that are on the west side of Creedmoor Road. Now choose run search, and this will narrow it down further. Now I've got 7 homes that I'm comparing, and I don't know why my screen isn't loading. There we go. Okay. Now notice these homes are a little bit all over the place when it comes to square footage. Most of them are around 3,000 square feet, but you've got a couple different homes here. Like you've got this split level, you've got some more traditional 2 stories. We really need to narrow this down. So let's just start looking at these. Okay, 2-car garage. This is, of course, easier when you actually have a subject property that you're looking at specifically, right? So like this house has a side entry garage, right? Front entry, front entry, front entry. One of these things is not like the other. Now, side entry garage is preferable, but it may be different enough that it's not the same. So let's start picking out, let's say our subject property is brick and has front entry garage. So that rules that out. This is another brick front entry garage. And here's another brick front entry garage. I've got 3 that look similar, and now I've narrowed down my CMA to 3 homes. Okay, I'm going to go back to my default grid, and here you can see, here are my 3 comparable homes. They're all roughly the same size, same features, built around the same time-ish. This one's a little too new, in my opinion, if we had a subject property down here at 90. But now when we choose CMA Summary, this gives us data that we can work with. Okay. we can look at the minimum sold average price per square foot is 175 and the max was 220. Okay. And of course, the average between those is $193 per square foot, which if we had a subject property, that was around 3,000 square feet, we could take that average price per square foot, or the price per square foot if the most expensive home was a true comp, was a really good comp for our property, we could use that and have an immediate idea of the value of the property. And then we could make adjustments based off of that, right? Does our house have granite? Does this one not? Does it have hardwoods down? That sort of thing. Let's take a look at this most expensive one and let's see what makes it so exemplary. Okay, it's got some landscaping in the front, hardwoods down, and hardwood treads. Okay, that looks nice. Okay, it's got a lot of wainscoting, good fit and finish, crown molding. Even more of that over here. So you can also see that this home has been updated since it was built in 1993. This is obviously not 1993 level of fit and finish with all the stainless steel and tile backsplash and that sort of thing. Nice walk-in pantry. But see, we sometimes when you're doing a CMA, you will have to utilize the actual pictures to find the features because they're not always going to be listed specifically. Okay, good dedicated laundry room. This looks suspiciously, they've got hardwoods on the second story. So this is hardwoods on the second floor, adds a tremendous amount of value to a house. Nice screened in back porch, right? And so these are all features that you would be using to make adjustments, right? One house versus the other. Any questions?
Nope.
So what if we're in an area that for a house that's not in a subdivision? Okay, let's try another. Let's clear all of our information. Okay. For this one, I will use a subject property of 6121 Purnell. It's in a subdivision, but there's not many homes in it. Okay. This is one of my listings from the last year. Okay. Notice it's in Castelli-on-Purnell, but Castelli-on-Purnell has maybe a dozen homes in it, right? So if I go to residential search and I choose Castelli-on-Purnell and do closed homes in the last 6 months, there's one, my listing, that's it. So that's kind of a problem. So what we need to do instead is to find homes that have sold within a couple miles of the subject property. So we're going to go up to the mapping tool, and here's a really great tool on the map. See here where it says center map and zoom on this address? I'm going to type in 6121 Purnell and hit enter, and it now will show me where my property is on the map. See, right here. And I can now choose an area around it to search for potential homes. Now, in this case, since I know that I don't have a subdivision to depend on, I'm going to pick the radius tool and draw, for the time being, a pretty big circle. Okay. And notice this brings up all the comparable sales in this immediate vicinity. And keep in mind, this is just a couple miles away. When you're doing a CMA, if you're an appraiser, you're supposed to do 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile. Ideally, you want a house that's pretty close in distance. Okay. But let's go back to our criteria now up here in the top left. And let's narrow it down. So let's say I know that this property is a 4-bedroom. That'll narrow it down. Let's say I know that there are 4 full baths. That'll narrow it down to 7. That's pretty good. I may not need to do more than that. But let's say that I know that the year was built after 2000, and that may give us some more. Okay, let's do. Yeah, that opens up a little bit. Okay, and a minimum of a 3-car garage. There. That gave us 4 properties. I'm going to click search, and notice my listing will be one of those 4, I'm sure. Okay. Since obviously I don't want to look at that, we'll click these 3 here and choose checked. And now I have my 3 subject properties to work with and make my adjustments on. And notice this, each of these are quite large homes. This one here which sold for the least was actually the largest. But you can see here that these give me a place to start from and make my adjustments in my CMA. Questions?
Nope.
Cool. All right. Well, let's open it up a little bit. Let's see who's still here. I'm going to stop and share so I can see everybody on the call. All right. If you are here and you have not spoken up, now's a good time to do it. We've kind of run through the best practices. And so this is where I like to open it up for any questions that you have. We've gone over how to use searches, how to do mapping, how to save searches, how to send them to clients, how to print different reports for showings, that sort of a thing. Jack, were you able to get anything out of this today?
It was great. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was stuff that I was stumbling through. It was taking me a long time to figure out. I wasn't sure if I had it. So I think I can move around a lot better. I'll
Good.
still have more questions later, but I can at least maneuver around right now. So
good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's good. Well, and there's a lot to take in, a lot of things you just kind of pick up as you go. That's why I just wanted to share some of my practices that I use. And I know there's a lot of stuff in there that's cautionary, like do this, don't do this, be careful using this, just because in my experience, I have found the more specific we are in a search, the more it can harm us. And so it's always like, particularly with a CMA, it's like stepping up little bits here and there as we go, because if you add in a feature that only your subject property has, it's not going to help you.
Right.
All right. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, we're right up on an hour. This is kind of what I was hoping the class would be. And if there's no other questions, then I will go ahead and end it here. But I would thank you all for the time and thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Robert.
Jack, have a great weekend. All right, y'all. Have a great time, and I'll hopefully see y'all in the office next week.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.